Now here's a show to bite into. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 shocking moments from the originals.
It's fine. He can't come in.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at the moments from the show that made our jaws drop and had us asking, what the hell? Even though the Michelsons did wreak havoc on The Vampire Diaries, we're strictly sticking to this spin-off. Oh, and expect some spoilers.
I love you.
Number 10. Cammy dies in Klaus's bed.
You have to. So you can be the light for your little girl.
Every supernatural show needs its resident human, and Camille O'Connell filled that role for a while. As a human, her life was always in the balance, but we thought she stood more of a chance after turning into a vampire. But alas, Cammy doesn't survive a fatal bite from Lucien, despite the gang's attempts to find a cure. Her death was upsetting and hard to watch, since she and Klaus were finally in a good place. They even expressed their love for each other in his dream of their perfect day together. Watching Cammy die proved that the show is willing to make hard choices for the sake of a good story.
Till then, sweet lady.
Number 9. Rebecca and Marcel's secret.
If this is the only way to get it, then... No, my mind hasn't changed.
When you're thousands of years old, secrets have a way of piling up, but they also always have a way of coming out. Rebecca and Marcel have been kept apart from each other by Klaus for more than a century, but the two of them keep a deadly secret. Back in 1919, Rebecca had Genevieve tip off Michael, their murderous father, about Klaus's whereabouts so that he could kill Klaus and she would finally be free from him. She instantly regretted her choice and infected Genevieve with an influenza-soaked rag, expecting her to die.
I'm so sorry, Genevieve.
But when Genevieve returns in the present day, she reveals Rebecca's mistake in the most brutal way possible when she links the siblings' minds. It's vengeful and devastating in the best way possible.
Nick, it isn't true.
I want to believe you, sister.
Number 8. Dahlia's arrival. Shows like this are only as good as the big bad of the season, and Dahlia more than lived up to expectations. Feared and revered as the one witch who could take down Klaus and Kin, her threat hung over the entire season, even though she wasn't present for the majority of it.
It is the magic that will draw Dahlia.
Dahlia may be the aunt of the Michelson siblings, but she was willing to sacrifice baby Hope for her chance at immortality. Her entrance to New Orleans struck fear in the heart of every supernatural being, and her threatening of Freya sent chills down our spines.
After all, once I am done with these poor souls, I'll be the only family you have left.
Number 7. Rebecca and Marcel kiss. Rebecca and Marcel have always seemed destined for one another, but time and time again, Klaus has stood in the way of their union. Just when it seemed like they would give up in fear of Klaus's wrath, Rebecca turns up at Marcel's door under the premise that she was there to say goodbye.
And say it.
Right. The tension between these two was played up quite nicely in the scene, and reached a boiling point when Marcel grabbed Rebecca and pulled her in for a lot more than a farewell kiss. Their kiss came as a delicious surprise, since their attraction to each other is off the charts. Number 6. Elijah enters Francesca's house uninvited.
So I suppose that means this house now belongs to the public.
Rule 101 of the vampire world is that a vampire can't enter a human's home uninvited. But that doesn't mean there aren't ways around that. In a moment of brilliant gameplay, Elijah arrives uninvited at Francesca's home. He stands just outside the threshold to tell her a wonderfully poetic story about how Al Capone was nabbed for tax evasion.
A failure to pay his taxes. I suppose the devil's in the details, isn't it?
The moment builds as Elijah reveals he got the city to declare her home a protected landmark, therefore making it public property. Surprise, surprise! Elijah enters the house, and it's just another moment proving that Elijah isn't one to be messed with. Number 5. Klaus guilts Rebecca and Elijah. If there's one thing Klaus loves to wax poetic about, it's loyalty to the family above all else. After Rebecca betrays Klaus to help Marcel, Klaus single-handedly takes on Marcel's army and wins.
Marcel! Come and finish this!
But the win is bittersweet, since his sister was the cause for the fight in the first place. Feeling betrayed by both her and Elijah, who questions his motives for protecting his unborn child, Klaus shows his vulnerable side when he gives a speech about how much family truly means to him. Even though he's often portrayed as the show's villain, you can't help feeling sorry for him, since he seems so hurt by them.
Look the other way, sister.
while you repeat the same cycle with Marcel, falling again for a man you shouldn't be with.
We're just as surprised as his siblings are by how raw his emotions seem to be.
You chose to stand against me.
Number 4. Elijah takes out the witch. In a town as cutthroat as New Orleans, allegiances shift on the daily, and it's unclear whom you can trust.
I thought it would leave a fitting message. Don't touch my family.
Klaus and Elijah have never seen eye to eye on the witches, with Klaus believing that none of them can be trusted and Elijah willing to negotiate. But all of that changes when Agnes, one of the head witches, tricks Haley and endangers her baby. Just as Klaus is about to kill Agnes, Elijah makes a surprise appearance to do the honors himself as he proclaims,
No one hurts my family and lives.
He's badass and he's brutal as he kills off Agnes and almost everyone around her, snatching their hearts off their chests left and right. Number 3. Jackson and Haley's wedding. No one ever saw this one coming, since Haley's character spends most of her time caught between the two Michelson brothers. But when it's revealed that her marriage to Jackson, an alpha werewolf, would allow for the rest of their wolf pack to control their shape-shifting powers and gain maximum strength, their union seemed inevitable. When Haley's wedding to Jackson happens, it's actually pretty sweet, especially for this show. It's made better by the fact that their vow exchange and kiss bring the packs together, as evidenced by all the glowing werewolf eyes in the audience. Number 2. Elijah and Klaus face off.
Why must you keep harping on about the baby?
Based on their interactions on the Vampire Diaries, audiences knew they were in for a ton of family drama when the original started. The show makes good on that promise from the first episode when the two brothers spar over whether Klaus should protect his baby with Haley, who Elijah believes can bring them all together. They fight dirty in the Michelson family, and just when we think the two of them have come to a resolution, there's a major twist at episode's end. Klaus daggers Elijah, claiming that he can't lead a revolution when his family's around.
Forgive me, my brother.
Seems pretty harsh, but this is just child's play when it comes to Klaus.
If I'm going to win this war, I have to do it alone.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
From this day forward, I am nothing less than your worst.
You make sure to tell that little girl stories of her crazy Auntie Bex.
Number 1. Elijah and Haley have sex. As one of the show's biggest will they or won't they couples, we surely thought these two were a won't. Why? Klaus was their obstacle, given that Haley is his baby mama and Elijah is his brother, which are circumstances that don't exactly make for the best hookup scenario.
I should just...
But as the show went on and Klaus somewhat backed off, it felt like that ship might have sailed. What's even more complicated about their timing is that Haley told Elijah she would have to marry Jackson in order to release the werewolves from the witches.
I have to marry Jackson.
Despite all this, these two had one of the sexiest and romantic love scenes on the show to date.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from MsMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.